Hello, welcome to the show. It's I Feel Fat Today. I'm your host, Kelly Taylor. Thank you so much for joining me. Okay, head over to YouTube and subscribe to our page, youtube.com/I Feel Fat Today. It's either I Feel Fat Today podcast or I Feel Fat Today. Just search us up in YouTube and you will find us, and subscribe where we have full video episodes. Like the videos, leave a comment if you like it. All of it helps. Head over to head over to Apple Podcasts and give us a 5-star review. It would mean the world. Would a 5-star review mean the world? Like the world? I mean, it would mean a lot. It would be helpful. I don't know. It's been a long day. It is late in the evening, and my head's not screwed on straight, so I can't remember all the things that I go through to tell you what to do. So yeah, YouTube and Apple Podcasts. We'll just leave it there. Oh, and then of course Instagram. How can we forget about Instagram? Follow us on Instagram. I Feel Fat Today. Follow me, your host Kelly Taylor, at Hello, This is Kelly. All right. Before we get into it with our guest this evening, this day, I don't know. It is the Friday before Christmas. What is Santa bringing everybody? For Christmas this year, I would like Ozempic. Just kidding, but not really. Yes. It's Christmas. I'm going home soon. I'm excited to see home friends. And when I say home friends, I mean 2 people, Aaron and Allison. You know who you are. Neither watch, which is great. Preferred even. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have anything to say about Christmas. The holidays are the holidays, and I'm ready for them to be over. Okay. Before we get into it with my guest this week, I searched up a little article on plus size vintage fashion. Why is it so hard to find plus size vintage? Why is the vintage that's out there very small? You know, were people just built smaller back in the day? Okay, why is it so hard to find plus size vintage? Why is plus size vintage shopping so hard? A common answer to this question might be that everyone in the 20th century was smaller than people today. Indeed, adult obesity rates in the U.S. grew from mid-century into the 1990s and until the early 2010s before plateauing. Statistically speaking, the proportion of overweight and obese people is greater today, but those people still existed in the 20th century. To better understand the lack of easily accessible plus-size vintage clothing, it is important to examine systemic causes, not population data. There was a brief period of time in the early 20th century when retailers prioritized the manufacturing and marketing of slouchwear. The term was used from roughly 1915 to 1930 to describe sizes beyond the straight range. In the period of time before World War II up until the 1980s, retailers ignored stoutwear and plus-size women in favor of more slender physique. The emergence of the fashionably thin mid-century body ideal coincided with the emergence of the ready-to-wear industry and the mass production of clothing, which largely left out plus size. Women whose bodies fell outside the socially acceptable size range were consequently forced to make their own clothes. Exercise culture and industrial food system that villainized fat also led women of size to recede from social view, explains Lauren Downing Peters, an assistant professor of fashion studies at Columbia College Chicago. Peters' doctoral thesis explored the relationship between the construction of the female body and American fashion in the early 20th century. Stoutwear retailers shifted their strategy at the time, and there was a new market for chubby patterns in the 1950s, as they were called, but catered to young girls and teens. After stoutwear ended, and before plus size in the 1980s emerged, women were sewing for themselves. Emma McClendon, the associate curator of costume at the Museum of Fashion Institute of Technology, also explains that within vintage fashion, there exists a survival bias. that is skewed towards straight size clothing, meaning that straight size pieces that often find their way into vintage stores and museums are valued above plus size garments and survive to make it into historical record. So that's saying that the historical record pieces, or the pieces that are on historical record, are that of straight sizes or smaller sizes compared to plus sizes. Within the vintage historical record, vintage stores have buyers like any other retail outlet. And in some way, there is a bias in retail where buyers don't buy certain sizes. There's going to be that in vintage as well. McClendon tells Racked. But we have clear evidence that there was a range of bodies in the 20th century, not just what we see presented in films or as a skewed view. As described in a 2017 Racked article, vintage clothing might be broadly defined as garments that have enough age on them that they no longer are current, yet have sufficient style to make them chic. Within the designer realm, Givenchy was one of the few luxury brands that bothered to offer an extended range in the 20th century. Today, luxury brands continue to largely ignore the plus category. The combination of survival bias and lack of mass-manufactured plus-size clothing between the 1930s and 70s leads us to where we are today, with the deeply lacking availability of fashionable plus-size vintage clothing relative to straight sizes. Kate Lauder, the owner of Feng Shui Vintage in Brooklyn, regularly seeks out plus-size vintage to add to her inventory, stocking up to a size 5X at any given time, and admits that much of her plus-size inventory comes from the 80s and 90s. The 1980s not only ushered in oversized silhouettes, but also the return of plus-size clothing manufacturers, which is why so many vintage stores that offer plus-size clothing rely on garments from that decade. The Lo Marie Vintage, which runs an Etsy shop for vintage clothing, also attempts to stock as much plus-size vintage as possible, but notes that the sizing inconsistencies that plague shoppers today are not unique to the 21st century. Although the availability of well-made plus-size clothing has improved incrementally thanks to initiatives and inclusive designers like Christian Suriano and retailers like 11 Honor, there's hardly parity in fashion and retail industry that time again values thinness over all else. Ultimately, the preservation of plus-size clothing comes down to how we frame fatness as a moral imperative, and whether we push back against the notion that the human body is not an oversized object subject to trends. Yep. So I thought that was interesting, as I always say, but I thought that was interesting because I feel like when you talk about vintage clothing, and believe me, I had a vintage phase. I wasn't a new girl. And I always felt like I was at any size my body was in. I always felt excluded from being able to easily find vintage clothing. And I always attribute it to, people were smaller back then. America's so fat now. And it's like, yes, of course, we have gone up in size as a country, but that is the result of like medical advances and industrial farming and the Industrial Revolution. Like, there are many reasons why America is quote unquote fatter now. Okay, so you want us to be smaller? I guess we'll have more malnourished babies if you insist. But it wasn't that people were just smaller. It was that it's the clothing retailers of the time in the early 20th century were biased towards straight size or smaller comparative to plus size people. And so that's why there's just more clothing in rotation. And it's not that the clothing didn't exist. It's that manufacturing plus size clothing between the 30s and the 70s sort of is why we are where we are today. It just wasn't that there wasn't fat people. I come from a long line of fat people. It's that the clothing was being made for those of a smaller physique. And also it notes that people back in the day were making more of their own clothes. So, all right. Yeah. So that was interesting. Anyways, I hope you like that. We got a quick intro for you today because I want to get into it with our guest. We have another amazing guest. Oh, gosh, I am just knocking it out of the park with these people. Truly so great. I have a wonderful conversation with a fellow sorority girl and another East Coast elite. Please welcome stand-up comedian Kitty Reynolds.
We're doing it live.
Kitty, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
So great. I was really
so
excited
excited
to talk to you because you're my favorite follow on the internet. You are.
You're not just
I'm
saying
not just
that?
saying that. I promise you, I'm not just saying that.
Oh, that makes me so happy,
like sometimes
dude.
I like repost your TikToks and I'm like, I hope like she's not noticing and like thinking like I'm just trying to like suck up to her. Like I'm
No,
like,
I love
the
it.
world needs to see this.
Dude, thank you so much because I feel you see me because we were circling around each other on Twitter for a while.
Yeah,
so we
yeah.
know there was like 10 of us, I feel like, in comedy and then like
Yeah.
20 other people who are on Twitter. I haven't been on in a few months.
Me neither.
But so I feel like you saw who I was as a creator.
Absolutely.
Which is absolutely kind of I'm not trying to please anyone.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to be like building a portfolio.
Absolutely.
So so I feel like you saw me and I thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
I feel like you also look at things like a platform like TikTok with the same sort of eye that I do. Like I promise you posted this one TikTok that I think about once a day. I wasn't going to talk about this, but you posted this one that I think about once a day where you're like, influencers when they're trying to make money. And it's like, this serum is literally the best thing I've ever used. And I'm like, that is such a funny way to put it because it's like, yeah, they're telling you about products that they love, but like they're trying to make money.
Right.
And it's so funny. It's
You can't trust them.
No, you cannot trust them. And
You
I
can't
have
trust
been
them.
negatively influenced 100%.
And you used to be able to trust. Like
Yes.
I don't know if I feel like we're in the same generation.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're not in very similar age group, I was a part of the early YouTube makeup guru.
yeah.
Like, yeah, that's our
I
age.
lived on YouTube.
Right. So like that was pure a golden era of YouTube, which was like pure value for the sake of just like, this is the mascara I like and I've used it for 20 years. And so here you go. None of this like, I'm going to try the new,
Yep.
marketing package I just got.
Yeah.
And it was just like beautiful education at its finest.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Nothing else. And now it's just like, every video has a link.
Everything.
I can't fucking trust you.
You know, because it used to be on TikTok how I would just immediately scroll past the videos. Anytime I saw it was like a gray highlighted in very small words, it said sponsored post. And I was just like, all right, none of this is useful to me.
Right.
Now everything has that damn link, the orange link.
Right.
And it's like, sometimes it's entertaining. Sometimes they're just trying to sell. And at the end of the day, there's an orange link there.
Right. No matter what, the link is there.
No matter what.
It's not. Nothing is going to change that.
Yeah.
And I can't. Like sometimes I'll buy it and I know I'm being silly.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm going to try this stupid fucking thing and I don't care and whatever. But most of the time I'm like, can you stop teaching young girls that this is the key to beauty?
Absolutely.
That's the one thing where I'm like, can we fucking not? Can
Yeah.
we stop creating this narrative? Like, we know this is wrong.
Yeah.
We've talked about it for 20
Ad
years.
nauseam.
At nauseum. We saw it with Victoria's Secret. It's still the same fucking shit. Different devil, same, same devil, different clothes, whatever the fuck. And it's like, enough
Enough.
of the links.
Yeah. It drives me crazy.
It's never going to be the thing.
What was the one? They did get me on the stocking stuffers this year. I've seen some shit where I'm like, God, it's just so easy. And it's $5, which I also hate. Like, I haven't bought anything off of Temu yet. You know what Temu is? I haven't bought anything off of Temu because I already feel bad for the amount of trash that I as an individual produce.
Right.
I'm not trying to sound like whatever, but I'm like, Temu, that is just like... I feel like anything you buy off of that website has to smell like gasoline and shit.
Can I tell you? I bought stuff on Temu. I'm here to tell you about it.
Tell me.
So I feel the same way. The weight of my carbon footprint does lie heavy.
Absolutely.
But it's like nothing's going to change really.
No.
It's going to be.
And I'm but a man.
Right. And I'm just going to stop doing as much Amazon is really what's in my power. I'm just doing less Amazon, a few more CVS trips. Okay. I love this fucking guy. I love him. So Temu, so I ordered something. I had a gimmick show with Ian Levy. I don't know if you know. We had a show at the Tiny Cupboard that was a flop. No one came. And we had the gimmick of like a mystery gift. And so I bought 67 sponges. Just like kitchen sponges. I was like, the people are going to go nuts. And there were no people. So I just had 67 Temu sponges, which are carcinogenic.
Oh,
you know,
yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Just absolutely just like diesel encrusted like soap or sponges. So I used them, but they like were pretty awful. Mm-hmm. So like obviously that's why you're using. You know you're buying bad products and you just want to do it anyway.
Yeah.
I want to experiment with a little bit more on there.
Totally. I almost fell for Temu during Halloween. I'm a decorator. I'm a big fan. Not that the camera can see it, but I like getting into the holiday spirit. And so I was like, I need some Halloween decorations. And I'm like, I feel like my house is going to burn down if I leave it unattended with this stuff in it.
And doesn't that suck? The only thing that we're clinging to for joy
absolutely
is really decor.
Literally.
That's it.
Yep.
That's it. That's all we have is Marshalls and fucking Temu and whatever. And we're also like, but I'm spending more on my electricity bill. I'm going to burn the house down. I'm going to ruin my neighbors' homes as well. And so the holiday spirit gets crushed by the environment as well.
Yeah. And another thing, and then we'll move on from here, but I have to say this. The person that is doing the get ready with me is getting younger and younger. And I know it's getting bad when I am like searching up and contemplating buying what this like 14-year-old is telling me to buy. Like I just got the Drunk Elephant bronzing drops.
You did it.
I did it.
You're a tween.
Guess what, girl? I was on the Sephora app because I have like an inability to buy Christmas presents for other people and not throw some shit in for myself.
You have to.
It's also like the only time I am doing shopping. So I'm like, oh yeah, I need this shit.
Yeah.
So I search up Drunk Elephant to see what I could find.
Right. Innocent search.
The peptide moisturizer.
That's good, dude.
In the applicator where you push it and it swirls perfectly, and then you can take the bronzing drops and drop it in. I was like, I'm gonna like have a career once I buy this. Like this is going to change my life.
Suddenly the world opens with that fucking canister.
Well, guess what? That canister was $68. And I was like, I can't do it. But they got me on the peptide. They got me on the bronzing drops because they priced that at $38. $40 would have been too expensive.
Right.
$39 might have been too expensive.
They're so smart.
But $38 was the perfect, well, not the perfect price, but enough for me to be like, I really want those bronzing drops.
And we're too smart for $39.99. They know that.
Oh,
they know that much.
Come on, we've learned our tricks at this point.
Yep, they know that. So they're like, 38, sister. We know exactly who you are.
Yep.
We know exactly what you need to add this to the cart.
Yep.
We're making it undeniable.
And I did, and I have like a tween to thank for that.
And they made it the perfect like gifting price point for the tween in your life.
Oh, absolutely.
Geniuses.
Come on.
And Drunk Elephant, like, I don't know how they came on the scene, but something happened in like, I guess it was 2019-ish, 2020 when they really stepped on. Mm-hmm. And no one really knows what's going on there, but we're just following them blindly. And they make great products. I don't know who's behind the curtain. I don't know if it's Esteem or L'Oreal, like whoever it is, but keep going. Yeah. Keep drinking, elephant. Yeah, keep boozing, boy. It's
that elephant is tipsy.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Keep us hydrated.
Yeah. I love it. So where are you from?
I'm from Long Island.
You're from Long Island.
Unfortunately, I'm one of those people.
I'm sorry. Some of my favorite people are from Long Island. I say this every time I interview someone from Long Island. It's probably that I'm from New Jersey and we just get it.
It's the same people. It's the same level of toxicity. I said this on TikTok and I stand by it. You don't get this level of toxicity with talent that you get
Yeah.
from the tri-state area anywhere else.
I fully agree.
You can't,
so
like,
talented.
the people that come from, like, you have fucking Bon Jovi, Bruce Springsteen. These are Jersey icons. Long Island, you have Mariah Carey.
Come on. Lindsay
Lohan.
Come on.
Billy Joel. You can't tell me. Yes, there are talented people from the Midwest, no doubt.
Yeah.
But they don't give you the same level of entertainment.
The drama.
The drama.
Come on.
It's not even close.
Yeah.
So for that, thank you, Real Housewives of New Jersey, for keeping the franchise alive.
Seriously.
Single-handedly, and it wasn't even filming for a while.
I know. They really
So,
weren't. I'm currently on my rewatch, and I am on season 9 reunion. Season 9 might be the best season, I think, so far.
Is that the season? Which season is 9?
So that's the season when Jen, the Turkish woman.
Okay.
She came in. Jackie came in.
Yeah.
Who I love.
Jackie's
love
key.
Jackie. And the reason why I say it's the best season is because it had probably, I said top 5 when I was texting people about this, but it honestly might be top 3. But their fight in Cabo, where Teresa had just gotten done doing her bodybuilding competition, so she could like drink. She's like, let's go party. Mm-hmm. And so Teresa was friends with Margaret, and then flipped to be on Danielle's side.
Yes.
And then so you had Teresa and Danielle screaming at Margaret, and then Melissa and Dolores, who then started to square up against Jen. It was such a good fight.
You don't
betrayal.
get TV like that anymore.
No, you don't.
You
one.
don't. And that is, again, the magic you can only get from Jersey.
Yep.
The magic, like Jersey Shore.
Oh, come on.
Are you kidding me? This is a Jersey original.
What grade were you in when Jersey Shore came out?
I was in middle school. So actually, when it came out, I'm not sure, but I remember enjoying it like 7th, 8th, 9th grade.
Okay, yeah.
So I think it must have been 6th, 7th grade that it came out. Yeah. And it was like, I mean, we already were aware of Guidos.
Yeah.
Because I'm Italian. Like, we were aware of the culture. But to have it on display like that for the world to understand.
Yeah.
And then to go into a world where, like, we went away to college, people want to identify where you're from, who you are, and for people to already understand because of that show in a way that probably people 10 years ago from where we're from had to only explain in story was so beautiful. To be able to be like, oh, I'm loud and weird, and you know that personality trait from Jersey Shore, so you can accept me a little better.
Totally.
And understand that, like, I'm not abrasive.
Right.
Like, this is just how we operate.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree with that assertion of the show. Oh, Finnegan, you're cutie. I have lint rollers, don't worry.
I'm in heaven. I'm in absolute heaven. Are you kidding?
He likes you.
Yay.
Yeah, I agree. And Jersey Shore came out when I was in high school, and I was like, an emo kid, whatever, like had a scene MySpace kind of thing. And then I went to college where it was like all North Jersey people. And so that summer I started going down to Seaside, and I was just like, oh, it is what the show, like Jersey Shore is Jersey Shore. Like, it totally is.
It is what it is.
You know?
The epitome of it.
Oh, man.
I love it.
I love it so much.
Being from like Jersey, New York, I think you go through phases of like loving that identity and hating it.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think right now I'm in a loving it phase because I think after my Italian videos and stuff, I was like, you know what? This is it's different. It's fun. And like, it's fun to have like this sort of, I don't know, textured whiteness.
Absolutely. And this is probably coming from just because I can identify with it. Your videos, like, what's the word I'm looking for? I relate to them in a way where it almost feels healing.
Good.
Where it feels like home.
Yeah.
Even though I'm not even Italian, I'm Irish and I'm Polish, but like, it's just very like East Coast.
Yeah, and it's
like,
it's not even an ethnic personality as much as it is tri-state.
Absolutely.
Because it's like my Irish relatives, we talk like that too.
Yeah, yeah.
And like, it's just the cadence almost of how you talk and the things you worry about.
Yeah.
And like, those are my favorite comments, are like, this is so comforting, or like, this
so
takes me
comforting.
home.
Absolutely.
Because like, it really is. it's an impression of my grandma. My mom doesn't really talk like that.
Yeah.
It's so funny. People are like, "Oh, your mom must be like this
Right.
caricature." I'm like, my mom has like a PhD. And
Yeah,
she's
yeah,
like,
she's,
kinda
like, very
chill.
smart.
Yeah, she doesn't have an accent at all. She's like kind of an anomaly for like Suffolk County, Long
Totally.
Island, and so I'm really kind of being my grandma. And I think at first I was kind of like, oh no, she's gonna be rolling in her grave because I just,
Right.
I just care about what the
Right,
dead
right.
think. We always have those intrusive thoughts where like they're watching and they're judging this.
Yep.
And I was like, oh no, she's gonna be rolling. And then after a bit, I was like, fitting in something the stuffed animal. And I was like, no, I think it's remembering her. Like
You're
I think
honoring
it's
her.
actually honoring
Yeah.
and celebrating the culture, not sort of like making fun of it.
No, it's not making a mockery
Right.
of it at all.
And it's a dying breed, so it's like
Yes.
let's keep this alive,
Yeah, totally.
like in art, in media. Let's like keep this alive because it's going away.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you follow the TikTok account Mia and Craig? They
No.
are in that furniture store in Long Island.
No.
Oh my God, I'm going to send it to you. You're going to be obsessed with them.
Okay.
And then the other person I have to ask if you follow, do you follow Leah Cucina? She's like this New Jersey mom that has 2 kids and a husband, and she just...
Oh, yes, I do. Yes, I do.
I need to get her on the show. I am
She's
obsessed
incredible.
with her. She heals my inner child. I'm not kidding you.
She is the mother of the internet.
Mother
right
of the
now.
internet. She's not verified.
No,
Like,
she's just a woman.
She's just a woman.
She's just a gal, just
Yeah.
making food,
Yeah,
just doing her thing.
literally.
Just
She's
in her
like, I
kitchen.
don't consider myself an influencer, but like I feel like
Right.
and I'm like, I literally commented on one of her videos. I was like, I literally duplicated your Costco haul,
Right.
Because you just get the best stuff. Like,
Right.
oh.
I'd say you're an influencer.
Yeah, you are an influencer.
I would
but
say.
the right kind. She does not steer you wrong.
Right. She's the influencer that I want. The person who's, you can tell, not looking to make money from it. Because that's when you can sniff it out. And you're like, don't
Absolutely.
fucking sell to me. Give me value. And that's what she's doing. She's like, okay, I'm just fucking around on my phone.
Yeah.
This is crazy that I got all these views.
Yeah.
This is weird, but like whatever.
I know.
She's not pulling a Michaela where like
No.
Michaela, we lost her after she started making money.
Absolutely. We totally lost Michaela. She started out so cool.
Right.
And with Leah, the way that she like talks about food and like feeds her kids and honors their hunger and like just whatever they want. Like, oh, what do you like? My kid wants a hot dog for lunch. Okay, I'm going to make a hot dog for her.
Right.
I'm just like, it's so healing to watch a mother do that to her
Right.
kid.
And also she's so like, yes, she listens to the kid and is giving her exactly what she wants without being like a pandering sort of like like a joke of a millennial mom
Yeah.
who's just like listening to
Who
the
has
kid.
like faith-based in their bio.
Right.
You know?
She's actually just being like, oh, okay, you want sushi? I'm going to make it for you
Yeah.
from home.
Yeah.
That's naturally like healthier. So let's just do that. And I'm not going to talk about fucking calories. I'm not
Yep.
going to talk about anything. And it's just going to be this great thing that we share. And we're going to laugh because we're making a video about it. And like,
I know. I'm so glad you follow her. She's
she's
the
the
best one on the
best,
internet.
dude.
Oh my gosh. So did you grow up in a house where you're Italian? So did you grow up in a house where it was like mange, eat,
Yes.
eat, like all the time?
Totally. And it was just like a very Italian life, like Sunday dinners. Every night of the week we had dinner together as a family. And my early food is like super functional, like my early eating history, super
Yeah.
functional, big Italian family, healthy relationship with food. I was a skinny kid, so I didn't have any issues. I was kind of like, unfortunately for, I think, some other kids in our family, they had some weight struggles. And me and my sisters, we were just like, had hollow legs. And we were just like,
Right.
okay, we would eat and not gain weight and
Wow.
everything was fine. So I really had like very pleasant early food history. And it was like there was a food push, and my mom definitely shows love with food. So that was something I had to untie in college.
Totally.
When I realized I was an emotional eater, and I was
Oh.
like, oh, okay, like food is not love. And then when I would come home and my mom is like offering, no, take this, eat this, and she'd keep food out all the time, and I was like, you're torturing me.
Yeah.
Like I was super compulsive. Like we could get into the whole thing, but only later realized how much I was like emotionally tied to it.
Yeah, I feel like from this podcast, I've had a lot of people come on here and realize things like that about themselves when they've gone out to college. Because like all of it, even if you are a drive away from your parents' house, if you're living at college, especially, all of a sudden you're on your own. All of a sudden, like you're living in a space where your parents don't also live, and your food habits are also changing because now you have to kind of fend for yourself in a way.
Yeah.
And you have like access to almost like a 24/7 buffet in
Right.
some cases for some college campuses. I would say for
Right.
most,
You
know?
have to temper your own access.
Yeah.
And that was so daunting for me. And also, I think it was the first time I really saw and was tortured by seeing the way other women were eating.
Yes.
Because for me in high school, I would have lunchtime. Yeah, then I'd go home for like you really didn't see the way other people ate. And in college, when I would struggle with food, I was like, oh no, but she's eating a salad for lunch but she had that for breakfast and she's really thin. So like, and I would go through the math of just comparing myself. And that was something I had never experienced before, even though I'd been around a lot of women like my whole life.
Right. So was college just like the first time you would say when the concept of dieting was first introduced to you, or did you grow up around dieting?
Yeah, I would say so. Like my mom was not a pro dieter. She was a thin woman. She didn't really worry. And also she had been raised with women who had pretty severe eating disorders. So she was very keen on like no scale in the house.
Oh,
like
wow.
She
How
was actually
progressive.
really progressive. Yeah. And it's kind of sucks for her that got undid kind of in my adult life.
Yeah.
Or like in college because I was set up for success.
Totally.
So dieting was something that I saw other women doing in high school. I would say around prom is when it started to become a thing.
Yeah.
I would hear other women talk about it, but again, didn't apply to me. I was like, oh, that sucks. Like, I can't believe you guys are already feeling this way.
Yeah.
I only heard women talking about it like that.
Adults.
Right. I thought this was like an age-related concern, but wow, I didn't know you guys didn't like your bodies and were trying to change them. And then in college, I just swallowed my gum. I like actually, I think, started to research it for myself.
Right.
And that's when I was like, actually, because I just started gaining weight. And then, but not like anything out of the ordinary. Normal college weight, let's say fucking 5 pounds, nothing
Right.
to call home about.
Yeah.
Then I got SA'd.
Oh, yep. That'll do it.
And after that, food was my only numbing, like food and drinking. And so, and I drank so fucking much that the food had to be the thing that I, experimented with to lose weight.
Got it.
Because there was no shot in hell
You were
I was going
not
to drinking
turning off
less.
the drink valve.
Even though it doesn't matter fucking what you eat all day. If you have fucking 10 vodka sodas, like,
I know.
you're going to have a whole pizza after. So
Absolutely. And you also like, I don't know if this is what you were thinking, but like, I remember being, and even now, even my girlfriends now being like, I'm having a tequila soda, I'm having a vodka soda. Like they're always choosing those options because it's like the low calorie option.
Yes.
And it's like, there's still like, there's
sugar.
There's calories in the alcohol, like in the toxin of alcohol. There's calories. So like,
right in that recipe, there is already calories. So like you're losing. Yeah. Oh my God. I gave up Chaser for Lent. Like as almost like a dieting thing. Like, cause I was like, I don't want to be drinking soda. Sicko. I'm drinking Crystal Palace, like plastic bottle, fucking vodka, no chaser for like 2 months. Disgusting. But that's how kind of like crazy I got because I was.
Don't bring Lent into this.
Right.
Okay?
It wasn't even a God thing. I don't even believe in fucking.
I know.
I'm a retired Catholic. I was just like, okay, let's just take out soda. And after I was SA'd, I really had to control my body. Obviously in years of therapy, this is sort of the autopsy of what happened. But I really was struggling to control my body, and food was so available, and I was so compulsively eating and numbing and really leaning into food for comfort, and to like, it was the only thing I could tamper with, and I just obsessed over it. And the dining hall was just like its own fucking minefield. And I would throw up every meal. And I was not like a classic bulimic where like, and sorry, you didn't even ask to get into this yet.
No, you please.
Okay. I didn't want to read ahead.
No, you're fine.
we'll go right to the trauma.
Yeah.
So I was just overeating, and I wasn't classic bulimia where I would like sit and binge and then throw that up.
Right.
I would get to a point where I would like eat. I wouldn't want to eat a snack after dinner, and if I ate the snack after dinner, I'm throwing that up.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Then I had Oreos. Okay, we're throwing that up.
Yeah.
So it was just so exhausting because it would be like every item or like any meal in the day. It's like I'm making trips to the bathroom. This is completely exhausting. I'm hiding it from people. I'm also living in a sorority house, so I'm hiding it from 60 people who I'm very close with.
Yep.
It just got like really messy and gross, I think. And like I couldn't keep up, and I wasn't like losing weight.
No,
it doesn't fucking
never,
do anything.
It never results in weight loss. So much of what you're describing, I so relate to. And everything that you're describing, I have done, but I didn't realize what I was doing until probably like a year or two ago.
Right.
Where I'm like, oh, that weird thing happened to me as a kid. And then around the same time, my grandma put the idea that I needed to like lose weight into my head. And then all of a sudden food became my drug.
Right.
You know, and it's just like realizing that food is this comfort.
It's so easy to see from in reverse.
Oh,
And while it's happening, it's torture.
It's total frog in a boiling pot of water thing. Where like if he's just floating in there, he doesn't realize it's getting hot. You have to be thrown in.
It's an addiction like any other, I think.
Absolutely.
It's actually worse and I think harder than most because you can't give it up.
Yeah.
You can't go cold turkey on fucking food.
Yeah.
Then you're getting another disorder. So like it is such and like I think weight, independent of weight, there is torture and frustration for everyone who has to deal with food in like obsession.
Absolutely.
I don't even call it disorder because I think that has such like, we've gone so far with that word.
Yeah.
Of like, oh, you have an eating disorder because you're this or like you're that. No, everyone at this point in our society has fucked up relationships with food.
Yeah.
And if you are in a point where you're overthinking it and obsessing it at every point in your day, I'm so sorry. Like it is the harshest, like worst way to live. And I'm addicted to fucking vaping and weed and like I've given up drinking for periods of time. Food is the most annoying fucking compulsion.
Absolutely.
Hands down. I don't care. Like, yes, obviously, I'm sure there's hard drugs that would totally like just make this look bad. But
no, but the girls that get it.
Right. If you've been there, you know that like it can be a very lonely place to live in your head and to like reverse engineer your day around your food and your meals and like and vomiting.
I know, and hiding the vomiting. That was the biggest thing.
Yes.
And now as an adult, I'm like, oh, why are my teeth falling out of my head? It's like, oh, shit.
Right.
That thing I did when I was like in my teens and 20s like has ramifications as an adult.
Why do I have reflux?
I know.
Yeah, it's like,
it's like I'm sitting here reflecting as you're talking, because I also was in a sorority, and that in and of itself, like, I'm not talking disparagingly about sororities, but I look back at my time in a sorority in college and the just breeding alcoholism, breeding crash dieting.
Yes.
And because it's just like, like we're all going out for Halloween. Like every October I would crash diet.
Right.
Every October. And then like at the time of a year when you would have like formal, I would crash diet then to like fit into the dress or whatever. And just never forget the alcohol consumption. That is just like a whole nother thing.
Right.
But just how, where was I going with this? I remember one time in college, I had such bad, I don't know if it was acid reflux or what it was, but like, I like couldn't even drink water. It's like, it was so bad. And I look back and I'm like, do you think maybe the cheap vodka and the vomiting might have had something to do with it?
Right. You're like, oh no, what's going? Oh, I must have strep.
Disease.
Yeah.
What? And all my friends are like, I don't know.
Right. You're like, oh God, you gotta go to UHS or whatever.
Yeah.
But breeding is such the perfect word for what happens, and I don't think sororities in general. Like, I have such bittersweet feelings about.
Same.
You probably do too. I think all of us,
especially as comics. I think as comics, especially
so when you meet people that weren't in Greek life, because I think all of my friends still primarily socialize with people that were in Greek life.
Yeah.
And for us who go out and then you meet creatives and you're like, oh, this is really embarrassing. This is like really fucking embarrassing. But then you realize, oh, we can embrace it because there's so much that we learned about human behavior from it.
I wouldn't be a comic without it.
Right. And I think because of the way it is structured to give you basically a drinking problem and an eating disorder, which...
Right, that's on the national level.
Right, at the national, this is not at the chapter level. We're talking nationals. And this is not one sorority. Everyone was experiencing this. And I've talked to Sarah Barnett, who...
Oh, love her. She was a past guest.
She's the best. And we have talked about, because we went to the same high school and college.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, and elementary school, middle school, like everything by accident.
Oh, that's so weird.
And she had an eating disorder coming out of school too. And we were like, what was in the water?
I know.
And it's like, it's not the school. It's literally, I think that, again, the parameters are off with food. We don't know what to do with it. You're looking to each other and it's really disordered.
The blind leading the blind.
Blind leading the blind. And an extreme pressure to be not hot on the internet, hot in person. For that date party that fucking next day.
Yep.
And it is like the crash dieting. Oh my God. Girls would for Mexico for spring break, girls' ankles would swell because it would be the first time they had salt in a week or whatever. Girls would be passing out the week before.
Oh yeah, because the drinking never stopped.
Right.
The food intake stopped.
Right.
But the drinking
can't stop. Adderall, people would use everything.
Like
so
Tic
unhealthy.
Tacs.
But at the very least, I do feel like my early exposure to it got me. I mean, it's not a good thing, but at least now I'm a little bit ahead of the game, I would say, in terms of food awareness and drinking awareness and all of that stuff, just because I've had so much therapy for it.
Absolutely.
So it's not, it's like, okay, it's a good thing that it gets you there earlier. I don't, but
I also wasn't one of those kids that I hung out in high school, but I never partied. My first time drinking alcohol was prom weekend.
Okay.
I wasn't, I would hang, but I was never drinking. I had the fear of my parents and me, the fear of literal God. I was too afraid to do any of that.
Yeah.
And so college for me, the sorority for me was let's hit the ground running. You know, I am trying to be impressive with my drinking.
Right.
Oh, so
let's try on a new drinking personality.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. I'm the girl that can do 20-second cake stands. It's get a fucking life. Get a hobby. But everybody's cheering you on.
Right. It is a source of pride at that time. I literally
just wanted people to applaud for me.
Right. And you feel so sick. So sick because it really is such a romantic part of your life. You're like, this is so cool of me.
I feel like I'm drinking. In a movie.
Yeah. You're like, I'm a rock star. Yeah. I'm in a movie. I'm partying every night. I'm with my friend. And it's also such an amazing time. You're with your friends all the time.
Your friends.
Nothing could knock you down. But then to stay at that level causes so much anxiety. To stay at that that level of not caredness, something's got to give.
Yeah.
And so on the other end of that, I was like a duck with, the classic duck paddling really quickly because it was I need to be drinking this much. So I am going to be starving myself all day. And God forbid I disobey myself. We're going to be throwing up all night.
Yeah.
So it sets up a bad thing. And in college, at least for me, there weren't fucking podcasts. There wasn't much on the internet for this kind of thing. And I was just beside myself with confusion of why can't I get this under control? I don't have a weight issue, so why can't I just tell myself to not care? Because I think that's a big thing. A lot of women are like, no, I know that my body's fine. What? I'm actually comfortable with it in a photo or something, but why am I so obsessed with all of this?
I think also to that end, when I think back to how I felt looking at photos of myself at that time, I would have a breakdown because I'm oh, I look horrible. I'm so much bigger than my friends in this photo.
God, yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm taller than them. Sorry, I'm 5'8", which isn't even that tall, but like I don't know why all my friends are like under 5'5". Like
Right.
everybody was so like much shorter. I was so much taller, and it's just
everybody is a sexy baby.
Yeah,
and I'm a monster.
yes. And so like I felt like a monster amongst these sexy babies, and I look at those photos and I'm like, we didn't have the term body dysmorphia back then.
And I would frame those photos now.
I
frame them.
Please.
Kiss them. Hug them good
why
night.
Why didn't you take nudes? Like, why didn't you take more nudes?
Looking back, I'm like, oh, like my body was fine. It was rocking. And I couldn't have been less happy with it.
No, I couldn't have hated it more.
Couldn't have hated it more. Couldn't have been like, oh my God, the photos, looking at the arms in photos would send me on a fucking...
I literally punched my friend one time because like getting ready to go out to do something was always a fucking thing.
Yeah.
You know? And I remember one time we were getting ready to go to the end of Greek week dinner where we were going to find out who won Greek week that
This
year.
is important. I can tell this is an important weekend.
So we all had to dress nice, right? Put on our best business casual. And so I'm trying to find an outfit. I can't find anything.
Right, because of course you don't own business casual in college.
Well, because I went out in I was in college from 2010 to 2014, which was peak business casual.
Okay.
Where that was like what we wore to the club.
Yeah, I was 2013 to 2017, so
okay.
I know exactly your era.
Yeah, you would be a girl in my sorority that I follow on Instagram, but like we've never met in person.
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah.
And so so I'm trying to find an outfit. I find something that I am unhappy with. It was too tight. Whatever. My roommate's like, we gotta fucking go. Let's go. So we're going, and this one girl. All it took was one bitch being like, Kelly, what are you wearing? And I flipped around and I was like, I told you, Judy. And she's like, relax, no. And I was like, no. And I pushed her and she was just like, all right, I'm fucking leaving you. I'm going.
Yeah.
So I go back to the room having a mental breakdown. Another sorority sister had to come get me. She's like, no, you're not going to miss this. Come on. She, threw clothes on me and we go. And I was like, Judy, I'm sorry. She's like, I'm not even mad at you. Like, like this.
Like, I know what this is.
This is crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know, whatever. And then you go and you get drunk and it doesn't matter anymore. Right. Because that was the life cycle, that was
quick breaks in like that was the beauty of that time is everything is so hot and chaotic that you have quick spats with people. You don't like keep anything in and you don't have the ability to. No. Everything is impulsive and you're just kind of like oh no, and you wake up the next day and you're like, you were so fucked up and you did this and everything is so reactive.
Yeah. Okay, I'll buy you a bagel. I'm sorry.
Right. Yeah. Everything, and it's like worked out in an hour.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or a week when people get back from some break.
Yeah.
Oh, he's back.
Oh, hello, sir.
Yeah, that's the beauty of that era. And I think that's why it makes it such a charged time with food. Yeah. For sure.
And like when it's like what we were saying, like when everyone else is acting like that, you don't see it as weird. And I remember being mad at my mom for her having a problem with the sorority. And I'm like, you just don't get it, Mom. And now if I was a mom and I saw the way that my kid was acting, I'd be like, I don't think you should be in this fucking sorority.
Right. I'm like, we're paying for this?
I know. And and I talk like we were saying, like, we look back on it with like a sort of weird lens, but like I just went to a girl's wedding from the sorority. I love seeing those people. Like
they are like my family now. Yeah. Which it is so nauseating to say that, but we do grow. And the ones that like are bad, you kind of throw away and you create boundaries and whatever. And the other ones that like I don't know. A lot of it's garbage. A lot of the people you can like move to trash. And I've been moved to trash from a lot of people.
Same.
It works both ways. And you keep what you need and you, I think, leave what you don't.
Yeah, I think some of the biggest bullshit that I do wish when it came to the sorority that they were a little bit more real about. They didn't do that shit of like, look to your right, look to your left. Yeah. These are going to be your bridesmaids. Like, I wish that they didn't lay that on so thick. Cause it's like, I didn't like you by the end of the semester, so I don't know why we're talking about being each other's bridesmaids, Right.
They should have said that the magic is actually in the trauma that you will experience together right now, not actually being together for future trauma. Yeah. Even though, like they have been with me, through trying times, but like more of it's the case that they are now my memory bank. Yeah. And vice versa. And now we have, yes, we each now have each other's own lives and stuff, but we can at least go back to this touch point and be like, remember when you were a fucking crazy son of a bitch?
Yeah.
Remember before you had this growth and you
Yeah.
were a fucking nightmare? You know, myself included.
Totally.
Yeah, it's so
So-
interesting.
Do you recall, and this might just be like a hodgepodge for you, but do you recall like a specific crazy restrictive diet that you may have done in the past?
So many.
Because like for me, for my friends, like the skinny tea, the tea that makes you shit yourself, that was huge in our group. And the cabbage soup.
Oh, yeah, that's a
That,
classic.
that was huge for us.
Huge. I went through so many. I think I'll go through some of them that weren't even diets. They were like tactics.
Totally.
So I was drinking the magnesium citrate laxative from CVS,
Totally.
which is like insane to just drink a fucking bottle. And I didn't want people to know I was using it, so I didn't want to put it in the mini fridge in my dorm. So I would just drink the whole bottle, which
Yeah.
is like an insane thing to do. So that was one tactic. I would buy like weird off-brand things at CVS that like said weight loss, which like probably gonna die. And then
Just put Slim Fast on my tombstone.
right, just
Literally.
like you know what's happening. I mean my exercise like OCD got really intense. That's a whole different thing. The craziest one I think was the military diet.
Okay.
And then Whole30 I think was crazy for its own reasons, but I think the military diet was one that I did frequently in college that was I think the most intense. And I don't know if you're familiar with
no,
it.
can you explain it?
So I think it's 3 days of a diet, and it's basically like very, I would say 70s, 80s-ish food that would help you lose weight. So like, and a very strict, there were actually strict meals. So like one meal is literally like half a can of tuna and a piece of toast.
Yeah.
1 scoop of vanilla yogurt like for dessert. So like a very strict thing to lose weight. And then Whole30 I did in adulthood, like after college when I was not vomiting, but still not having a comfortable relationship with food, and did Whole30. And it was like, I gained weight, dude.
Yeah.
Because I was eating so much fucking nut butter. Because it was like, you know, keto, paleo, fucking no, you're not drinking, you're not doing whatever. I literally gained weight.
Yeah.
And I wanted to off myself. My skin looked good, but like, I was like, oh my God.
Well, because I like Whole30, keto, those are one of a few diets where people talk about that they've went on them and then they've ended up gaining weight because it's poised as you can eat whatever you want as long as it's those these specific things. But you can't tell that to a binger.
No.
Because
we'll binge
take
everything.
it to 10.
Right. And what I wish someone had told me when I was going through all of this madness, and I had a therapist, I had a doctor who was like talking to me about the science of it. What someone should have just fucking stared at me in the face and said, it's how much you're eating until this behavior subsides and until you can find a comfortable balance. You are going to drive yourself mad.
Yeah.
Because the diets fall under sort of the wellness industrial complex that's like, no, food isn't, like the messaging is so mixed with food. Food isn't bad. It's just the kind of food you eat. No, it's really the amount.
Yeah.
As much as we don't want to talk about it, it really is the amount. And the more that we try to like push these alternative narratives, it's just like driving people. It's just making other people money.
Yes.
And like driving this cycle of like driving women mad and men now too, I think very much so.
You know, going back to what we were talking about, like TikTok influencers trying to sell us things on the internet. I mean, the amount of wellness influencers, like the Melissa Wood Healths of the world, like all of these these influencers that talk about how like I do movement for me, and like all of that. Like I look at their pages and it's hard for me as an adult who's like, I've seen these tricks before. I understand the game. But to be the idea of like a 16-year-old seeing a Melissa Wood Health Instagram page, or like, and not just her, like insert any influencer, where like you see them make like a meal that's like 250 calories and they're like so nourished.
Right.
And you're just like, oh, you're setting them up to be starving later.
Right.
To binge their face off. Because that was my biggest thing was, and honestly, to a certain extent, something I still struggle with is just restricting myself all day. Don't even get me started on intermittent fasting.
Oh,
like restricting myself, and then all of a sudden it's like the dam breaks, and I can't control. I have this like hunger that cannot be satiated.
Yes,
it
drives you mad, and also we put it in a discipline, like in light of our own self-discipline, which makes it even more confusing. And we're told that because of all the marketing that's been based on male science of male bodies, we've been told that you can eat the same exact thing every day and exercise the same way every day. And if you don't, it's your fault. That's what you have to do to be a healthy person. And women are literally on a fucking monthly cycle. Like we are just never going to be able to eat the same way every day. And how liberating it has been to be like, no, I'm getting my period. I'm building an organ in my body right now. I'm going to eat like a fucking savage for these next 2 weeks, and I won't have a scent of guilt because I know that it'll even out after my period, and that hormonally I'll actually be at like probably a more comfortable period with food, and then I'll go back to like eating a ton. Yeah. And like when you get comfortable with that aspect of your body, which is easier said than fucking done, to submit to the actual crave. Oh my God, to actually submit to what your body wants.
Intuitive eating is the hardest diet ever.
Right, and it's the only effective one.
I know.
And it's like, but to actually try to deprogram ourselves from everything that's been put into here. And also, sorry, I get so hot about this.
Please. I love this energy.
The influencers that are selling not only a product, but they're selling themselves as the billboard for it, like as the thing. And we think we know about them because there's actually this illusion we know more. Yeah. We know even less about them than we did maybe, let's say. We know what
they are giving us.
Right. Like a Jenny Craig. Okay, we were sold on this woman's like program, I guess. I'm being sold on Emily Mariko's diet because I want to look like her. Like that's an insane level of subtlety that I don't think we're even diving into as a society yet, of like what this all means for young people. Because I keep saying women, I don't want to be binary. It's like but I do think it affects people who are more feminine. I think that would be the better way to say it, is like anyone who is femme is like has this pressure to look a certain way, and we're just being sold different things in different more sneaky ways every year. Yeah.
I know. I think that's what makes it feel so insidious, is the sneakiness of how things are being sold to us, and how you don't even realize it. Like I'll be staring at like a random thing in my pantry where I'm like, I only bought these 0-calorie bullshits because I saw Alex Earl had them or some bullshit, and it's like, I'm 30. Like, why am I falling for this?
It took me so long to be like, oh, I don't like fucking egg and avocado combination. Yeah, right. Like that's not my taste. Yeah. Like I'm picking that up from someone else. Yeah. And like this is a product of a trend, not a product of what I want. Mm-hmm. Like I'll never forget this. I was in Trader Joe's in DC when I was living there, and it was like pretty peak food insecurity for me. Insecurity makes it sound like I was impoverished. Like obsession for me. Yeah. And just really overthinking everything. And I was staring at this olive tapenade from, not kidding, fucking 7 minutes. You know, like just like reading every ingredient. You know, like this is this gonna make or break my physique, you know? And it's like not gonna fucking matter, you know? And this guy just comes over and he goes, "You like olives? Get it."
No way.
I swear to God. And I was like, okay. And I literally just put it in my cart. Like I was like, thank you. I have not stopped thinking about that. Yeah. Like that was probably 10 years ago now. That's it. That's the whole, I think that sums it up. It's like, you can't
Jeez, Vin. Okay, relax. Sorry.
Eat what you like and hopefully have the strength to be able to control the portion.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, that's really, I think, the only fucking savior. I've read so many fucking books about this. I've done worksheets. I have the amount, I've done Noom. I've done, like, I can't tell the amount of fucking, like, literature I've spent, like, reading on this, and it really is, like, eat mostly fucking plants, not that, like, what is the Michael Pollan saying? Like, eat plants, not that much, and, like, whatever.
I think also, like, there are so many weird compulsions that happen with food where it's like, I've done Noom before, Weight Watchers, all of them. And the compulsion of writing down what I'm eating, like the amount of food journals I've kept since before I've had a period.
Right.
I've had food journals.
Oh my God, you poor thing.
Which is crazy.
You're in the young generation of,
of
food.
Oh yeah. I mean, I was going to Weight Watcher meetings with my mom and grandma. Like, it was just,
Oh, God bless you.
Yeah. And because I come from a family where all the women had struggled with their weight. And so it just was like brought down. And like, I look back at being a kid, essentially a kid, and having my weight being a topic of conversation when really I was just probably like a chunkier little kid, like compared to my brothers, just smaller, bigger. And, just being a kid, and how like I can look back at that and get angry and be like, why would they do that to me? But then when I like look at it again and I'm like, well, they were doing what they thought was best.
Right.
Because it also was a society in which fat people, if you were fat, you're like less valued. Like, we are getting better about that, like as a society. And like, yeah, people can say what they want to say about like, oh, it's health. You're going to tell this fat person they look beautiful, but their health. And it's like, you're not a fucking doctor. And all the medical information out there about fat people being of poor health is biased information.
Right.
It's actually incorrect if you like do a little bit of reading.
Fundamentally incorrect. Yeah.
Yes. Like, the BMI is bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah. It should be bullshit measurement index.
Right. It's an arbitrary thing that we made
that
up.
was based on men.
Yes. Based on male bodies.
Yeah.
And also
white bodies at that.
Yes. White male bodies. And also your family members. That was the best technology we had at the time.
Oh, please.
Was Weight Watchers.
Oh my God. Like, that little the cardboard tracker thing.
Right.
Like, that's what we had. So what I was saying was the compulsion of writing everything down, and how that in and of itself can be detrimental, even though you think you're doing the right thing.
Right.
Like, I'm trying to like, get
this is the godly, disciplined way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You think you're doing the right thing. It's not the right thing at all, at least for me. And then, this concept of portion control, I think if people had at all a handle, because I think a lot of people they don't have any idea how much food that they are drinking that they're intaking is just mindless.
Yeah.
Trying to numb, and you don't realize you're doing it. Because as a kid, I didn't realize that's what I was doing.
Right.
I didn't realize I was numbing, like what you were saying, after what you have experienced, especially being in college, being in this new environment, how food was, it's like, it's kind of like heroin in a way. Like, I just want to numb out.
Yes,
I don't want
it's escapism.
And then the euphoria of a purge.
Yes.
I mean, come on.
Oh my God.
I'm not trying to romanticize it, because it is a horrible thing. As I said, now I have like dental issues and a myriad of things that like I wish I could take back. But when you don't have a handle on your life, but you have that, it's like, oh.
Right, because you can't control this one aspect, but you can absolve the sin.
Yes.
Oh, thank God. Let's press erase on that.
Yeah.
Like, I can do the bad thing and then pretend it didn't happen. I can hit backspace.
Yeah.
The relief.
I also have a dirty little secret. People don't know about this.
Oh.
Like, like I have this like thing that like, I'm not talking to my girlfriends about this. Like, nobody knows I'm doing this.
I have this dark secret.
I loved that aspect of it. I loved having a thing where it's like, well, nobody knows that I'm doing this. And all I have is the ability to go onto Tumblr and, go to ED Tumblr and just, find new methods and, just commiserate with other sick people.
It's such like a subculture.
Yeah.
It's such like a deviant subculture.
Yes,
But it's not deviant because it's guised in like, I think, angelic, or what we align with angelicism, like in our society, which is like being able to control your intake and your consumerism, because it is like, it's gluttonous, it's sinful. The other way you are, you know, when you are binging, like you don't identify with yourself. You're like, this is not who I want to be. This is not who I feel I am, and I can't stop it. And I want to be this like this girl. I want to be the one who can control herself. Like that's the woman. Yeah. You know?
And you know, you mentioned Lent, and I also grew up Catholic. Did you go to Catholic school?
No.
Okay, so I went to Catholic school 13 years. And
that feels like a Jersey thing as well.
Oh, absolutely. We couldn't afford it, but we did it.
Right.
You know,
everyone does it.
Yeah. And I don't think I quite realized how much the idea of gluttony really fucked me up.
Yeah.
How, like the 7 deadly sins, I never wanted to be a proponent or a perpetuator of those things, and gluttony was huge for me because I already felt like I was too big. I already felt by just existing I was gluttonous,
right? And
so like the concept of like eating at all felt way too much. And every single Lent, it always was weight based. It always was food based. It always was like, all right, I'm going to stop drinking soda. Maybe not in the form of a chaser, but like in general, no soda, no fast food, you know, no candy. It was always, I think it always was food based.
And that's the thing about like religion too. And for a lot of people, it really works. And for those people, keep on rocking. Yeah. But for people who have had like not so great experiences with, like, I don't really connect with it. I don't think you do either now. And it's like, no, that to me, those rules actually only helped me punish myself. Yes. That punishment was already there.
Self-flagellation.
Right. For a lot of people, they need this like code or this like other Leviathan to like supervise and feel like that sense of comfort and like parenting. But when you're already your own judge, your own critic, I think for young women, young feminine people, I think that like, you already have that so deeply ingrained in you, this like audio, just like critic in your head, that adding any layer of criticism on top of that is so toxic that adding a concept like gluttony to already your repertoire of self-hate is so fucking sad. Yeah. That you can find, like, learning about celibacy, I didn't need to learn about that.
Nope.
Because I was going to do what I was going to do anyway. Yeah. And instead, I'm thinking back to fucking 8th grade religion class. I'm in fucking college. I'm getting laid. I'm going home with a hot guy who I didn't end up marrying, but like, okay.
But you never know.
And instead, I'm fucking judging myself.
Hating myself
for
it.
I'm robbed in every moment of pleasure.
Yep. And I think, and tell me if you relate to this, but I also was a kid that like was waiting for the earth to fall off its axis at any moment. So I really needed God to help honestly keep me alive. Right. Because I was so fucking anxious. And nobody got that I was anxious. Right. You know? And so I would just
No one had the word anxiety.
No. And I would lay in bed and I had a bedwetting problem. So I would lay in bed and I would pray that I wouldn't wet the bed. So that was one thing. And then the other
thing. Which is such, I have to say, a key pillar of a successful comedian.
Oh, I know, right?
I wasn't a bedwetter and I honestly feel insecure about that because it's like I'm not a part of that group. Right. It's kind of a key distinction.
I can't explain why it was happening.
Right.
All I know is that when my mom didn't know what the fuck was happening and she took me to the pediatrician, it was the pediatrician telling me that I'm overweight and I have too much weight bearing on my bladder.
Which is not the
biggest
thing.
Crock of shit I've ever heard in my life. And my mom was like, I knew it. Like, it just was reiterated to me, which is so crazy. So, okay. So
dude, that's so fucked up.
I know. It's crazy. But you know, one day I stopped peeing the bed and I really attributed it. I was like 12 and I attributed it to my prayers to God. I was like, okay, I kept praying and it finally stopped. Yeah. And then the other thing that I would do on top of that was, besides obsessively check to make sure that my door wasn't locked, because
young OCD, shout out.
Totally. And I would be like, okay, please watch over my mom, my dad, my brothers, my aunt and uncle, my grandma and grandpa, my Aunt Fran, my Aunt Noreen, my Aunt Judy, my Uncle Kenny, my cousins Bridget. And like I would list every night before bed. I would list anybody that came into my head, and and then I could go to sleep.
God forget, like if you forget someone in the list, they're gonna die.
I know, and like I like could feel like the tension alleviate from my chest as I was like listing off all these people that I needed God to protect. And so I bring that up to say, you know, I had to have a faith in God because I was like afraid everything was going to burn if not. And so I wanted to make sure I was being good. Didn't drink until prom weekend, would feel bad about any sex I was having in college, which didn't happen until senior year consensually. You know what I mean? Yep. Like, it just like I had all of these reservations about life that I needed God to be present with me so that I could survive. Mm-hmm. And I didn't want to be bad. Like I wanted to be good because I needed God to know that I was good and I was being like a faithful servant, which I know the verbiage and the terms I'm using, even my listeners are going to be like, what are you talking about? Who is this person? But it's the only way that I can really illustrate how at the time I felt. And it wasn't until I was an adult when I had one of my friends joke about how like, you know, like their parents, you know, thinking that they still believe in God, that their kids still believe in God. And I'm like, oh yeah. Sorry, God. So true. Those old people are crazy. I promise I didn't mean it. Me and you got like our own thing. Which is crazy.
Like, I'm just there just crazy.
Yeah. And now I'm just like, is it the universe that's keeping this all together? You know, it's just this weird thing because I am a retired Catholic fully, and like I actively am upset with the Catholic Church, just like you learn things, but that's a whole other thing.
It's a whole other thing, but I think that's where like the weirdness of I think Catholicism is like that feeling of when you're young and learning about it. Feeling like you need God's love, but God's love is conditional.
Absolutely.
In the way it's been communicated to us.
I've always felt every love that I've ever gotten has always felt conditional.
Yes. And I still, with myself, I think that's also with food. Like, I think people whose own love is conditional, we struggle with food.
Yeah.
Because we're like, oh, I can love myself if I follow X.
Yep.
If I do this today, I am, you know, a soldier of God, let's say, like, yourself. And I can move about the world because now I'm perfect and I have my own approval. Mm-hmm. But until that's met, I'm a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And that's how I still operate, which sucks. But like, I think at least we're now learning that we have the awareness of it. Of like, oh, we're kind of fucked up because we were brainwashed in this way.
Yeah.
And now we can try to find unconditional love, hopefully, from ourselves.
Yeah.
Easier said than done.
Absolutely. This food stuff is just it's so interesting to me that you grew up with a good food role model in your life, with the adults in your life, and it still got fucked up.
Isn't that so shitty?
It's so shitty.
Because it's like, I can point to a lot of things in my childhood that I can say, oh, this is the reason I numb now, or this is, oh, my parents did that, even though, you know, I'm in the point in my own processing of my life where I can forgive my parents for, you know, anything. I can recognize where there were moments of trauma, but also say, oh, they were doing the best they could, and I'm grateful for everything that's all that stuff. But to then have all of that awareness and say, wow, it still got off course. I just like, I feel bad for my mom. I'm like, you had all the research. You were actually ahead of the game because you were like early in that eating disorder world. And one of her best friends really struggled with an eating disorder. So she had like gone to therapy with her friend, as a young woman. So she like knew how to talk about it. She had all the tools. And it's still, I think the dam still breaks because it's just the easiest way. It's the easiest thing in your life to control.
Yeah.
Or to obsess over. Because no one, when you first become an adult, there's really not anything else unless you've already picked up another vice to kind of lean into. So I think that's the earliest drugs that you can find for kids. I think that like it's the it's also like one of the best forms of love, so it's like a weird double-edged sword. And yeah, it's weird to look back and be like, wow, I was like this skinny kid who didn't give a fuck. Like, oh my God, in high school, I would eat so fucking much and like nothing really. I would just go run and I was on the track team. I would go run and fucking 7 miles, 8 miles. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
And then to finally have that damn break, it's actually, I think, I was like, wow, I get it now, guys.
Yeah.
I go, wow, this really fucking sucks. My poor friends who had to deal with this earlier in life. Because I think, you know, so many people like yourself and so many others were on the fucking slim fast and shit totally. So much younger. And I was like, wow. It was like this moment where I was like, welcome to this pain that I guess, this weight pain that I didn't realize was really how bad it was.
And like you're not going to be in your mom's house the entirety of your life. So even if she could give you a good foundation, you still have to go out and be a person in the world and in society.
Right.
And it's like what you said, like it didn't matter all of this, like this good food upbringing from your parents. It's going into a sorority and I'm not blaming the sorority, but like going into a college and seeing the people around you not having the bread or whatever the fuck.
Right.
And being like, oh, okay, mental note, I'm not going to have the bread.
Right.
Whatever.
And this is the other thing about it too, because I didn't have any tools to deal with weight gain or like any body sort of like frustration, and I had been a runner, I didn't know what to do.
Right.
So it was also like a whole new world where I was like, oh God, like, I guess I'll run 6 miles every morning. I guess that's what I'll do. Like, you're writing your own rules then. And that's all I knew. That was my response, was like, I'm going to over-exercise. In addition to trying to, like, tamper with the actual food amount.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm just going to be super OCD with how I work out.
I do want to go, as we're wrapping up, can you explain a little bit, as much as you're comfortable with, like the exercise OCD that you mentioned?
Yeah. So in college, when I was super bulimic, one of the other conditions that could get me out of vomiting is if I exercised X amount that I put in my head that was typically between 4 and 6 miles.
Okay.
And
the money spot.
For some reason, that could absolve me of the sin.
Yeah.
And if I didn't do that, then I would have to throw up. If I did that, then all of the food I ate that day could be forgiven.
Right.
So I would wake up, and I don't know where this part of me, I don't know how I can access her again, because she's the craziest part of me. Yeah, like she's the craziest bitch in there. I would wake up after like, you know, fucking 6 vodka sodas.
Yep.
And have my track, like my running outfit laid out for dead cold fucking Michigan. Like we're talking, you know, it's sub 30 degrees. And I have my little outfit picked out to go on my run. And I would wake up, put it on, and get out of the house and go for my run or go on the treadmill. Mm-hmm. And if I didn't do that, I would be so fucking beside myself that I would have to throw out my food. And I then I clung to exercise for a long time. Even after it wasn't as disordered, I still clung to it as the one thing that could save me from my food intake that day. Mm-hmm. So like long after college, I would be a Soul Cycle girly. Name the fitness class, I've fucking done it. You know, like name it. I have been there 3 times and made friends with the coach. Like,
totally.
Because I was just so like, oh, if I do the one, because then. Sorry, I go so many different directions.
No.
I was then also like, okay, well, now that I'm an adult woman, how can I be a functional adult woman? And, I think that's having my 1 hour workout and being dressed perfectly and having my hair blow dried and having my nails done, and it's all about maintenance.
Yeah.
And so I think having it perfectly scheduled in my day as this 1 hour block where not only am I checking off that I'm losing weight, hopefully, I'm also checking off that I'm like the perfect adult.
Yeah.
And that I could finally say like I'm a good steward and like I've become the adult that I've been trying to be through school, and now I have the job, and I can be this fucking Sandra Bullock in The Proposal.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
I can be that now. And I think that, so it was really weird and obsessive in college, and then it was less weird, but still as obsessive after.
Right.
But what's funny is like you said, health is not correlated to weight at all. I was so healthy in the moments that I was actually overweight and over exercising and like really eating healthy and like really kind of like, because my weight wasn't always connected with how healthy I was eating.
Mm-hmm.
Like now I would say I'm pretty thin for myself and I eat like shit.
Right.
Absolute shit. So I don't think it always makes sense. And when I was heavier, I think at those points I was actually super fucking healthy.
Yeah.
Way healthier than I am now. But now I'm at a great point because I don't think about food at all.
That's the dream.
I have a lot of great food freedom. But it has been through natural forces that I think, unfortunately, I wish I could go back and slap myself in the face and say, don't worry, you're going to lose 15 pounds when you get a nose job.
Right.
Or, because that actually happened. Or don't worry, you're going to lose 30 pounds in the pandemic because you're going to be so stressed about your life that you can't eat.
Yeah.
And then those things that I always hoped and prayed to God for, those cheating moments of like, if I could just lose 10, I swear to God, I'll never let it come back. Like those things that I would just like bargain for from Christ. Not actually, we're bringing up God so much here, but it's like
two Catholic girls with weight issues.
But it's such a helpful like metaphor. It's like all those things that I begged for, they happened, and then I was able to, from the research of all of the years of food therapy, to actually infuse that now and actually have a good, which God, I hope it lasts. I don't know.
Right.
Because like I never will like, oh my God, like hopefully it lasts, but luckily I have a point where natural forces came and saved me so that I got back to my ideal body set point, but with the comfort of having a healthy relationship with food. So a lot of people have asked me in the past few years, like people who know I have a weird history with food have been like, are you okay? Like, and I'm like, thank you for asking.
Yeah.
That actually means a lot that you're checking in. But I have to say, I know it seems like I'm thinner and that would actually seem like I'm not okay. I have never been happier with food.
Yeah.
And I need you to know that. Like you can rest on the pillow and know that I'm okay. I have never been so happy with how I get to eat now. I think I'm on now, sorry, and I'm doing my little wrap up kind of thing a little bit, where now I'm at the point where I'm trying to balance my hormones with food.
Okay.
So that's kind of bringing me back into the space where I'm even thinking about it at all.
Right.
So I talk about that with my therapist and I'm like, I want to be able to change my diet without controlling it. And how can we really tread lightly here? But I think if for people who listen to this and are actively experiencing food trauma every single day, that's always going to be you're always going to think about food forever, but there are going to be moments in life where you have relief.
Yeah.
And I think I'm in one of those periods now. I think, oh my God, if I have a baby, if I am so blessed, I'm going to fucking off myself.
Yeah.
I'm going to fucking off myself with however my body looks.
Right.
Hopefully I'll get the strength to figure it out. But right now, things are okay.
Good.
We're
Well,
in
I
relief
mean,
season.
it's like you said, how as women we have cycles. It's like right now you're in this cycle of you're not thinking about food, like you're in a really good place with it, which is awesome, and I hope to be there. I think that's part of me setting out on this podcast was like, I want to get right with food. I want to just be happy with set point. I want, whatever that is, figuring out what that is. You kind of mentioned it. What I want to end on is, what would you really, like, if you had the ability to go back and tell the version of yourself, doesn't sound like you need this as a kid, but the version of yourself that is obsessing about whether it's food, like let's go to junior year Kitty, like what are you going to tell that girl?
I think I would tell her what actually my therapist told me at that point, Cheryl, she was like such a fucking icon in my life. She was like, okay, so let's walk through how your brain is working with how you're freaking out before you're like vomiting. And we basically figured out that I was processing food as weight.
Yeah.
And that everything that was coming in would equal a pound. Like food equals weight, and it's going on and it's sticking there. And she's like, let's actually walk through what happens when you eat a piece of food. Let's actually fucking walk through. Okay. It goes in your mouth. It goes down your throat. It goes in your stomach. You process it, and then it excretes. And some of that may get converted to weight, and some of it may not. And that's what happens when you eat a fucking piece of bread. It's not the end of the world, and it's not going to be, there's no immediate consequence. And I think that's the biggest thing that was the advice then, and I think that's still the advice now of food is not weight, food is fuel, and however you can figure out how to divorce those things that make food something else and make it love or make it like drug or comfort. Like whatever, comfort, or scary and bad, do whatever you can to divorce from that. And if that is actually developing your own weird superiority complex with food about like, no, you're telling me not to eat bread or carbs, but I know, and getting really cocky and arrogant about your own research and being like, I know that that's not the fucking tea, and like keto could work for a week for you, but like I know that's not the fucking vibe. So sticking to your guns and being really confident about that research and knowing that you've gone further than most people and not getting set back by new information that actually isn't at your speed.
I love that.
Because it's really like, it's really hard to keep navigating through a world with so many mixed messages, I think.
Gosh, beautifully said.
Thank you.
Beautifully said.
Thanks so much.
Oh my God, Kitty, this has been such a good conversation.
Really? Okay,
Thank
good.
you. Oh, please don't doubt yourself. This is amazing. Let the people know where they can find you.
Okay. At Kit Reynolds on Instagram and at Reformed Hot Girl on TikTok, which I'm embarrassed about that handle, but
it's a great handle.
It I got banned once and I did that quickly and it feels a little cringe, but
well, I'll
it
tell
is
you,
what it is.
Your handle being Reformed Hot Girl is it so shows that you're a comic, because as comics we have this like disparaging view of ourselves.
Yeah.
And so it's like, Reformed Hot Girl, but she's like hot. But it's like, no, you're not getting what I'm saying. Like I used to be hot. Like,
right.
like not even like looks wise. Like I used to be fun.
Right.
Like,
I used to try to be hot.
Yeah.
You're like, I used to try to want to have people attracted to me.
Yeah.
And now that's out the window. And I don't know how to communicate that to you.
Right. Amazing. Okay. So those are your handles. Everything will be in the description of the show, and we'll talk to you next Friday.
Woo-hoo.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, there we go.
Perfect ending.
Sounding the alarm.